You see, we don't need these things. We need to be together. We need to feel for our brothers, because the people that are suffering in Niger have the same problems that are faced by the people that are suffering in Cote d'Ivoire. And this is the same story everywhere. The people that are suffering in Nigeria have the same type of problems as the people that are suffering in Mali, because they're all under the pressure that is put on them by the imperialist devils. Africa is in dire need of rehabilitation. We don't need all these wars. You see, you're beating drums of war when your country itself is teetering on the verge of implosion. You know, the French are trying to persuade you to get yourself into the trap. You know, the French are persuading the Nigerians to get into the trap, and the Nigerians are actually walking wide eyes open into that trap, calling themselves giants. We're the giant of Africa, the giant with no teeth in the mouth. The giant needs real teeth. You're a giant walking after the oppressors, to kill your own people. You should be the one to tell these oppressors, no, we have to solve these problems ourselves. We don't want you in this problem. But you are there. The ECOWAS is being sponsored by the Europeans. The African Union is being sponsored by the Europeans. So what kind of power do you actually have? You're the giant. Can you not sponsor ECOWAS? Are you going to remain beggarly peoples forever in this world? With all the wealth that you have, now you want to build a pipeline. You want to build this pipeline and you bring the Europeans to invest money there. And when the Europeans come to get their money and you say you don't have the money, they're going to attack you. Can you not build your own pipeline? If you have all this gas and and you know what the gas, how important the gas is to the Europeans, why don't you export that gas to African countries? Why don't you use the gas to, elevate the life or the material conditions of the African people? Why must that gas only go to Europe, Nigeria? Why? If you have all that gas, why don't you use the gas, to supply African countries that are suffering, so we can become self-sufficient? We can use it to industrialize. We can use the gas to motivate ourselves to actually fight for our self-determination, which is an institutional, is fighting against an institutional constraint, domination and oppression, which are institutional constraints. We can use this gas like our motivating factor. Look, this thing unites us, so we can fight to liberate ourselves, so we can actually benefit from our resources by ourselves. You don't do that. You're supplying Europe, but you want to go and fight to kill African people in Niger. But what you expect the Europeans to have is to give them something that is going to make their lives in Europe better. You're preaching death to your own people, but you're preaching life and survival for the European that is out to oppress you, out to domesticate you, out to dismember your country. There is a sorrowful absurdity in that type of thinking. What kind of giant are you? What kind of giant are you? Now, I've written about this augur. The augur who goes through African societies with ghoulish delight. These are ghouls. The ECOWAS leaders are ghouls. They want death. They like blood of the African people. This elephant is going around killing people in Africa. But the Africans rise up one morning and put a stop to the ghoul. They put a stop to the augur. The augur is a wandering interloper, has no place to stay, is moving from one place to another until it finds one place and it settles down in that place. In that place where this augur settles, it starts to create problems for the local people or the locals in that area. So these people in that area thought of this augur with his ghoulish delight as one of them, without actually knowing that this augur was out to kill them. You read about these things in my book, Garrison Metropolis, Volume 2.